January 2026, Middle East. Let's set the stage clearly and responsibly. What follows is an analytical narrative about military systems, strategy, and logistics, not a tactical guide or an endorsement of conflict. This is about understanding how modern forces are organized, how technology is combined, and why certain platforms still matter in an era dominated by stealth and software. In our previous briefing, we focused on motion and scale. The emergency redeployment of the USS Abraham Lincoln showed how nuclear propulsion, logistics, planning, and operational urgency can move a floating city across the globe at will. That story was about speed and reach. This one is about mass, geometry, and coordination. In early 2026, the U.S. Department of Defense announced the activation of Operation Agile Spartan. 26.1. Official statements described it as a joint exercise, framed around interoperability between the U.S. Navy and the U.S. Air Force. From a public affairs standpoint, that description is accurate. From a strategic standpoint, it is incomplete. Large-scale force movements are expensive, disruptive, and highly visible. When advanced aircraft, support platforms, and personnel are repositioned thousands of miles from home, it is rarely done without a broader purpose. Exercises, test assumptions, validate concepts, and rehearse coordination under realistic conditions. The most interesting signal in Agile Spartan was not that it happened, but who participated. Instead of deploying only 5th-generation stealth platforms, the Air Force included the 494th Fighter Squadron, equipped with the F-15E Strike Eagle. This choice stood out immediately. The F-15E is a design rooted in the Cold War era. It is large, powerful, and highly visible to radar systems. By modern stealth standards, it appears outdated, yet it remains relevant. This creates a natural question: why would a carrier strike group, built around one of the most capable naval aviation platforms ever constructed, require support from an older non-stealth aircraft? The answer lies not in weakness, but in specialization. Modern military power is not about a single platform doing everything. It is about systems working together, each covering a different part of the problem set. The USS Abraham Lincoln represents endurance, command, and sustained presence. Its air wing provides defensive coverage, reconnaissance, and precision strike capability. Geography, however, imposes limits. The Persian Gulf is narrow, shallow, and heavily monitored. For a large aircraft carrier, operating deep inside this space reduces freedom of movement and increases exposure. As a result, carrier strike groups often position themselves outside the most constrained waters, trading proximity for survivability. Distance changes the equation. Carrier-based aircraft tasked with protecting the fleet must prioritize air defense and patrol missions. These aircraft form a protective layer, intercepting threats and maintaining air superiority around the carrier group. While this defensive posture is essential, it limits how many aircraft are available for offensive missions. At the same time, stealth aircraft like the F-35E excel at detection, tracking, and precision targeting. Their strength lies in awareness and access. To remain difficult to detect, they carry weapons internally, which limits size and weight. This is not a flaw. It is a design trade-off. Some targets, particularly hardened or deeply buried structures, require specialized munitions designed for penetration rather than surface effects. These weapons are larger, heavier, and demand aircraft with sufficient lift capacity, structural strength, and range. This is where the F-15E enters the picture. The Strike Eagle is less a traditional fighter and more a multi-role strike platform optimized for payload and endurance. Its ability to carry large quantities of ordnance, combined with extended range provided by conformal fuel tanks, allows it to remain airborne longer and deliver heavier weapons when required. In analytical terms, the aircraft functions as a kinetic delivery platform. Modern operations rely on layered coordination. Sensor platforms identify and classify targets. Electronic warfare aircraft manage the electromagnetic environment. Strike platforms deliver effects. Each role is distinct, but none are effective in isolation. In this framework, stealth aircraft contribute awareness. Electronic warfare platforms contribute protection and disruption. Non-stealth strike aircraft contribute mass and penetration capability. This integration reflects a broader shift in doctrine. Rather than relying on large, fixed bases, forces are increasingly distributed across multiple locations. This approach reduces predictability and improves resilience. Aircraft operate from a network of locations, supported by flexible logistics and rapid turnaround procedures. The emphasis is not on permanence, but on mobility. By minimizing ground time and maximizing time airborne, air power retains relevance even in contested environments. This approach mirrors naval aviation concepts while adapting them to land-based operations. When viewed together, the presence of legacy aircraft alongside newer platforms is not a contradiction. It is a deliberate design choice. Older airframes, when integrated with modern sensors, communications, and support systems, can still provide unique value. This is not about nostalgia or regression. It is about understanding that warfare is fundamentally a systems problem. Sensors, platforms, logistics, and geography all interact. No single aircraft, ship, or weapon determines outcomes on its own. What Agile Spartan demonstrates is the continued importance of coordination, adaptability, and engineering realism. New technology does not erase old physics. Weight, range, fuel, and structural limits still matter. In that context, the F-15E is not a relic. It is a tool that fills a specific role within a larger framework. Its effectiveness depends not on acting alone, but on being connected to a broader network. This is how modern military organizations think. They do not seek a single perfect solution. They build combinations that account for strengths, weaknesses, and constraints. Understanding this helps explain why seemingly mismatched platforms operate side by side. It is not about appearance. It is about function. This has been Navy Decoded. We focus on systems, structure, and the logic behind modern military operations. We do not deal in hype. We analyze how things actually work.